How's everybody doing? Dawnlit Adventures here. Or you can call me Eric if you like. Today is another project, and if you couldn't guess what it was, well then I'm sorry. With the bumper being off, hope that would give some clue. Today we're doing a bumper. Got an adventure driven design bumper. It's their bumper kit, so what he does is he makes all the pieces and then you have to weld it. But if you have some experience or you're willing to learn, it's actually probably pretty easy to do. We'll find out on this video whether it's easy or not. It is, I would assume, pretty easy, as long as you can get that skill down. I originally was planning on using like a 125 flux core welder, but I wasn't able to obtain one in time. Not a good one. But Harbor Freight actually does have a really good one that you can use, or that you could buy, and it's pretty cheap and would totally do the bumper project just fine. But I have a new job now where we have a welder, so that's what I'm gonna do. Plus having a rack, just getting everything up so I'm not on the floor the whole time, that kind of stuff. Just makes things a little easier for mock-up and stuff, just for me, but everything is doable on the ground, in your garage, wherever you are. Granted, you have electricity. So yeah, we're gonna get going on that here. I'm gonna show you the parts, and then we're going to do probably some practice welds and stuff first, just so I can get a little bit of, you know, idea what I'm doing here. And then hopefully can get things all mocked up and going. The reason I have to kind of bend down here is because that's the widest angle lens I have, so, and I don't want my head to be chopped off. So if this looks a little awkward, I'm sorry. And not being able to get, it's kind of a long view, so anyway. Here's your parts. There's 5 parts, pretty simple and straightforward in that respect. You got these sides, which go to the center here, and then your ends. Pretty straightforward. There's 4 notches that coincide with the 4 notches or slots here, which will then go into those, and then you can either probably tack or anything like that. I'm probably going to first just mount these to the vehicle and set this in and see how everything lays. It's best on something like this, especially not knowing the history of like your vehicle or anything like that, even if it hadn't been in a crash or something, but if something had happened to where something got slightly tweaked or whatever, you don't want to do all this straight off the vehicle, because once you get it up, you might have gaps somewhere or something like that. So best thing with this whole process is going to be setting things up, seeing how they look on the vehicle, and then probably like tacking in place and then checking again, because you just don't want it to look off. So that's probably what I'll be doing a lot of too, just because I don't want it to be all crooked or anything like that, because this is kind of going to be based on each vehicle, obviously. And that's also another benefit of this kind of design, is because it allows you to best build it for said vehicle, instead of, say, you have a pre-built bumper and then you can't, like, you go to put it on and the holes aren't lining up because, you know, maybe something had gotten bent at one time or something along those lines. It just makes it more difficult. Whereas this, you can kind of, yeah, it might be difficult, but you can get it set to exactly how you want it and how you need to have it for your said vehicle. There's also another feature here. You have multiple slotted holes here, and that's because for the height of the bumper. So say you start off stock height, no body lift. That's what I'm trying to say. Body lift basically is what those are for. So you start off, you haven't had a body lifted vehicle or something, you're going to want to mount them in the top holes. That way, say down the road you want to go to a body lift, you can then raise it up, use those lower holes, and still not have the gap between, and then you won't have that gap between your body and your bumper. So you can still keep everything in line, which is pretty sweet. So that's how I'm going to do this, obviously. I don't know if I ever plan to do a body lift, but there's times I've played with it, with the idea of it, especially if I ever decided to go with a bigger tire. I've kind of decided not to do that, but you never know. My mind's always changing, just like I'm sure you guys are always thinking of different things and doing different things. Especially working at an off-road shop kind of place and seeing bigger tires now, I'm like, maybe I should. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Not a whole lot to it. So again, clean with acetone, get everything nice and ready. And then, yeah, then we start trying to mount it up and seeing what it looks like on the vehicle. At least these halves here. These will be a little bit more challenging, but hopefully not too bad. Okay, so I mounted one up here through these two bolts here. You can mount a third, even possibly a fourth, which would be a little overkill considering this isn't exactly a huge bumper. Plus the fact that when you go up, that would go into these holes and then those holes. Anyway, original bumper, the threaded half is on the bumper itself, the frame of the original bumper. So I came up with some nuts to then be able to mount this to here. If you need nuts, if you need mounting nuts for yours, they are a 12 by 125 thread pitch. So 12 bolt, 12 mil bolt, right? 12, grade 12, whatever, by 125. So that's the thread pitch. And yeah, then you can mount it up. So then we'll get the other plate on here and go from there. Okay, so I struggled a little bit with putting this up here. And honestly, the center section is probably, I would think, not as important to have mocked up on the vehicle already. These holes are fairly slotted, so once you have this section welded together, you can get it up here, lined up how you need it, and then your sides are what are gonna actually probably need more work or help. Because trying to get these slots in here and then hold them as you have to get in this piece, kind of a pain in the butt. The slots on mine also, I mean, I don't know if this is everybody. Slots on mine, not all of them always lined up or weren't lining up. So I had to notch these ones over here to get them to go in better. This side lined up perfectly. I actually got it really far in. So I think on this side, I'm gonna weld this side up first. And then once this side is welded, I'll move to this side and get this side done once I get it flatter and more together. But since this side is nice and perfect, I'm actually gonna probably tack it, take it off, and then mess with getting this side set up. So we'll do that now. And I'm not gonna, I did some practice welds already and I turned out pretty good in my opinion. So I'm not gonna do anything like that. This isn't a how-to weld video. There are about 1 million of those on YouTube. So go look at them. They tell you everything you need to know as far as how to properly weld, do your beads and everything else. Sure, mine might not look super pretty, but my plan is to try and get, if they look good, I'll leave them. If they don't, I'll probably grind things down just so that they have a nice, even, nice one-piece look almost. So that's my plan. But for now, I'm gonna tack this up, clean the surface real quick again, and tack that up, and then we'll be on our way. One thing that's really nice about the design of this bumper is that you can do your welds from the back side of it. So like on the center section, you wouldn't even have to put it on the vehicle. You just have them put together, weld it, and be done. So when you're not comfortable how your welds look, it's a nice advantage of it. And then plus by the time you're kind of getting into the hang of it, then your welds might be good by the time you have it done, so then you can just beautify it in the front. So not the prettiest welds for the first time, but not the worst in my opinion either. They're going pretty good. Like I said, there's some spots. But yeah, I'm fairly happy with that for the most part. Yeah, so I'm just going through that process. Like again, I'm not showing you how to weld. You're watching me weld it. Like I said, at first time I had it mounted up to the bumper or to the vehicle because I thought that would be best for mocking it up. But since this is a slotted piece, it's pretty much going to only set up one way. Decided to take it off, weld this together, so this is all one whole piece. And then once that's done, we can mount that, get it squared up on the vehicle, then the sections on the side go on, and we're good to go. So that's basically what's going on now. So like I said, I'm learning as I do this, and your welder, it will all depend. I feel like you kind of, depending on what you get comfortable with how it goes. And I didn't do a whole lot of practice before this. I decided to just kind of gung-ho go. But if you want, you could probably practice a lot more, get more comfortable with it to get it where your welds are even more pretty. Like I said, I'm probably gonna maybe grind it down a little bit, or I am planning on painting this anyway, so that might just kind of help clean it up a little bit. I'm definitely gonna clean up because there's some spatter and stuff, but overall, not too shabby. I'm pretty happy so far. Like I said, I gotta weld that section there. You can see that, yeah, right here. Weld that up, and then this section will be good, and we can go and mount it on the vehicle. If you want it to really be strong too, you could weld interior as well, but I'm actually getting pretty good penetration on the metal to where I shouldn't have that issue. So, but yeah, let's go ahead, weld up this last section, get it back on the vehicle, and go from there. Okay, there's actually an easier way to do this here on these end plates. If you use some C-clamps, it'll help a lot in holding the end plate to the center piece of the bumper. So I would recommend doing that instead of trying to hold everything in place with your hands while trying to weld. Things to be aware of when you're doing this too is always continue measuring and looking to make sure that things look good. I mean, I was looking and pretty good. I think I got things pretty straight and level. I measured across and that on my vehicle 5/16 or no, was it 15/16? And so that should come up just like slightly maybe. So I could probably weld into that position there. Some tacks to get it up a little bit. But you just want to make sure that when you're doing this that everything is visually, especially, is, you know, good. Like I said, this piece here, when I welded it to this and I mounted it up, I had the same measurements from side to side. Don't use like a level, because that could be, your ground is level, but that doesn't mean it's going to be level on the vehicle. So it's better to measure at multiple points to be sure that you're level to the vehicle more than you're level to the ground. Does that make sense? So that's what I would recommend doing. Yeah, so I'm gonna weld, probably come up with this just a slight bit, tack it down, and then weld down here, get that solid. And then, yeah, I'll be cleaning up all my welds, getting everything nice and pretty looking. And then probably paint. It's really a simple process overall. There's not a lot involved, really. Just, you know, learning how to weld and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's an easy process, honestly, once you get the welding down. Not a lot of pieces, not a lot of ways to really go wrong. At least I don't think so. So yeah, okay, we'll do that. Looks pretty good, actually. I'm happy with that. And also make sure to cover up things like headlights and stuff, because you don't want to burn through them with welding. So just make sure to have something to protect it so it's nice and covered. What you could do, what I could do, but I don't feel like it, is tacking things and taking it off the vehicle to continue the weld. Whereas I am just going to weld it on the vehicle because I don't want to unbolt everything all the time. I'm just being lazy, but you could totally do that. I went in sections where I did the one side and the other. You could put on the one side, tack things up, go to this side, tack things up, take it off, continue all your welds, and be done with it. I wasn't really thinking that way. I probably could have, but anyway, that's probably an easier, better, more efficient way of doing it. I'm just thinking of those things now. But I'm just going to continue welding on the vehicle and be done with it. And yeah, we'll be done. Alright, now I'm going to take the time to grind this stuff down, get it nice and pretty. Obviously, if you were really good at what you're doing and you have nice pretty welds, you could leave that. Mine are meh. So, I'm going to grind them down, get things nice and smooth so like they're one piece. And yeah, go from there. That looks pretty good, I think. Maybe fill in a little bit right there, or grind down, make it a little more even, maybe. like that. That's pretty good. Now I'll do that to the rest. Clean up all the rest of the stuff. Again, not hard, honestly. If you have a welder, you're willing to learn, you can do this at home. That's the great thing about it, is it's pretty simple and straightforward, and then just add what you want, make it how you want. I mean, it's all, besides the centerpiece. The centerpiece is pretty much set up in one way, but the sides, obviously you can go in and out a little bit if you needed to, or closer in. Hope I didn't get that one too far out. I think I did okay. Might have slightly goofed that, but overall, she's stout and strong and good to go. So yeah, clean up and paint. Easy stuff. All right, so it's been a few days since I fall over. I managed the same day to smooth out all my welds and everything as best as possible. I mean, you can still see a little bit, but it's nothing terrible. But yeah, just beautify some stuff, get it looking good. And then I went ahead and primered it. I used a self-etching primer. See if that focuses on it. Automotive primer. It says it's good for bare metal. Nothing super special or fancy, but it seems to do the trick. It looks pretty good. And then as far as the paint that I'm going with a truck bed coating. Just something a little bit more durable than just normal paint. I figured just hopefully be a little tough. I do probably plan later down the road maybe going with something else. This is just to get it coated and nice so I can get it on the rig. Because I've been wanting to and I haven't yet. So yeah, we'll get it painted up and then mount it on the rig. Alright, well that's a start. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit and then I'll go back with another coat after that. That's one can down, and then I got to get the back side a little bit too. Already I'm kind of starting to like it. Alright, I'll let it sit for a while, get all nice and dry, and it looks pretty good. There's a spot right here I'm not too happy about. Looks kind of like, I think it was where maybe I had let it spray too much or something, or where the end of the can was, so that's kind of sucky. I think I'll probably go back over it with a fresh can at some point. I can easily, what's nice is this kind of stuff is kind of easy as far as touch up, so I can probably spray it pretty simply on the vehicle. Overall though, texture is nice, I like it, looks good, came out pretty well honestly considering, and it's a nice tougher style of paint, which is nice. So I'm gonna get it on the car now and get it all adjusted. that's it. My glove failed me. If you have extra hands or have an extra person that can help you, probably would be better. A little bit of a struggle trying to line everything up and get it where I wanted by myself. It's doable, but if you have a friend, have them help you. So yeah, I think it looks pretty good. What's nice is that the holes on this are slotted, so you can move it where you need to. And then the holes in the actual frame are slotted up and down, so you can actually get it in and up quite a bit to get things lined up where you want. This, to me, seems pretty freaking close. I don't know if I could have brought these in a little bit more, because there's kind of a gap right here, but it's nothing terrible. And honestly, at the front of the vehicle, it still looks really good, so I'm happy with it. Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't super hard to do, honestly. The welding is, like, just give yourself a lot of time to learn to do the welding. Like, practice. Like, if you can get similar thickness, I think it was like 12 or 10 gauge as far as thickness, I think. I had it set on the welder that I had for 10 gauge, but it's just a little hotter, but it did fine. It didn't have any problems burning through or anything, so I'm really happy with that. And it also just allowed for a little bit more penetration through the metal. But again, try and get some similar thickness of metal, and you can just practice all you want on that. You can weld from behind if you are not comfortable with your welds. Everything can be welded from the back side, so if you don't want your welds to be seen, just do it that way too. Personally, I wasn't too worried about it, even if my welds weren't great, because I was planning on smoothing them all out so that it was good to go and looked pretty and almost like everything was one piece. I mean, my smoothing job, it could be better, but it's not terrible. So yeah, just be aware of that. And that's that. Again, pretty simple. And that's it. There's really not a whole lot to it. Installed the bumper, and the next day we went out and did a little off-road stuff. Did some technical trails and different things. And nothing that really got too close to the bumper at all, but was able to go out and test it kind of and get out into there and get into some rough stuff, and she did good. Yeah, so pretty happy with it. Like I said, it was it could have been like a one-day project, but I kind of strung it out over multiple days. But I mean, you could honestly weld it, install it, paint it, pretty much almost all in one day. Really pretty easy, even for someone who doesn't have a lot of experience in welding. Because that's me. I really don't have that much experience, and I managed to weld it up pretty well, and turned out pretty good in my opinion. She's already dirty. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you everybody for watching. Continue to watch, like, and subscribe. And I'm hoping to bring out some more stuff here real soon. Thanks again.